like to call the meeting to order, please. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public notice, please.
Good morning. Adequate public notice has been given pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been posted at the board's office and website, emailed to the Department of State, and to newspapers of broad circulation within the state.
Thank you. Roll call.
Commissioner Holden?
Here.
Commissioner Solomon?
Here.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Here.
Commissioner Gordon?
Here.
President Fernandez.
Here. Our next regular meeting.
Our next regular board meeting will be live streamed via YouTube on Wednesday, January 12, 2022, 10 a.m.
2022. Wow. It's hard to believe we're 22 years into the new century. It's not a new century anymore. There will be an executive session today, and the board will be addressing the following items in executive session under clean energy. Item E, matter of a memorandum of agreement between the board and the National Offshore Wind Research and Development Consortium. And F, memorandum of understanding between the board and the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. Also under miscellaneous, item A, New Jersey Fuel Cell Task Force, and D, matter of energy assistance grant as authorized under NJSA 48:2 -29-39, payment assistance for gas and electric program. The board will be taking action on these items during the regular session. I anticipate the executive session lasting about 20 minutes. Will the Attorney General's office please explain the justification for going into executive session?
Good morning, President and Commissioners.
You're not Michael Beck.
You called me red-handed. Try again next time.
Okay.
As you notice, I'm not Michael Beck. I'm Deputy Attorney General Terrell Klein. Clean energy items 8E and 8F, and miscellaneous items 9A and 9D all fall within the contract negotiation exception to the Open Public Meetings Act. This exception is found at New Jersey Statute 10:4-12B7. Thank you.
Thank you. As I said, the executive session should last approximately 20 minutes or so. And may I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are in executive session, and anyone who is not part of the Board of Public Utilities, I would ask you to please leave. Okay, we are in regular session, back on the record, and I just have a few opening remarks. And first of all, it's hard to believe that 2021 is coming to a close. And with that happening, I want to wish everyone peace and health and joy during this holiday season and certainly beyond. Those of you who are celebrating Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa for those celebrating that holiday. There's so many holidays, religious holidays and other holidays between the end of November and the middle of January. So by saying happy holidays, you're wishing everybody a happy holiday. So it is it's wonderful, and and one of the great things about being an American, we can celebrate and enjoy the holidays of various cultures and religions, and really learn from each and every one of them. And that's certainly a joy for me personally. So peace to everyone. Our 2022 board agenda and quarterly meetings are now publicly available on our website, so you can view those dates if you're interested. And I'm going to sound like a broken record here as far as arrearages are concerned, because this is December 15th. Moratorium does end for many people on December 31st. The grace period is finally around the corner as far as its ending period is concerned. Regarding utility shutoffs for gas, electric, water, and wastewater customers, expires in 2 weeks. As of October 2021, there are about 1 million, that's 1 million, electric and gas accounts that are more than 30 days past due. The overdue accounts total over $800 million. These customers will be in danger of disconnection in the new year. Over $800 million. We strongly urge those who are behind on their bills to immediately contact their utility and work out some kind of payment plan and or sign up for one of our assistance programs. We just had Maureen read one of the items that we're going to be voting on today, and she is our person who is really the expert in these assistance programs. But your utilities can direct you and really determine to a large extent whether you qualify for these programs. You can visit our website at bpu.state.nj.us to find out which programs you qualify for, or call 211 to find out how to apply for utility grant programs. Signing up for one of these programs automatically enrolls you in the winter termination program, which makes it illegal for utilities to shut off residential gas and electric customers for non-payment during the winter months. If you do not qualify, you do not fall into that category. So it's vital that you contact your utility. Due to the mass amount of accounts that are past due, we anticipate that options for program enrollment, available funds, and response time may be limited after the new year. Please, and I know probably most of the people we are talking to here in the audience or who are seeing us live stream may not fall into this category, but if you know someone who does, please tell them not to wait until they receive a disconnection notice. Call today. Your utility wants to help and will direct you. It's vital, it's important for your own well-being. I really don't know how else to say it. and how much to encourage you. But it's vital that you take some action. Also, it's vital for those of you who have not yet received any vaccine to really seriously consider that. We seem to be getting new variants every other week. And it's important for you to protect yourself and your loved ones and your co-workers and your friends. It's vital that you do that. So please consider that. I know I have more holes in my left arm than Carter has pills. Between the booster and the 2 shots and the pneumonia shot and the flu shot.
Shingles.
And whatever other shot they wanted to give me, I said, just shoot me. But it's vital. We're a society, we're a family, and we have to take care of one another. And the way to take care of one another is to take care of ourselves first, so that we are not the culprits who are spreading this virus. And again, I wish you all peace and health during this holiday season and in the new year, and I hope 2022 is the best year yet for each and every one of you. Do any of my colleagues have any other comments to make? Yes.
I want to extend Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and I want to thank the staff. No one has taken their foot off the gas this whole year, and really throughout the whole pandemic. But one of the unsung heroes, or some of the unsung heroes of the group, is Ada, and your staff and case management really modernizing that office and keeping us all humming and on schedule. And I appreciate it. Happy New Year. Let's keep going.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Holden, I think it's not foot off the gas, it's electric cars, we don't have gas. But I think, Mr. President, I think the message about early ages, one idea I got is that maybe you or one of the commissioners should dress up as Santa Claus and say, ho, 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 go and finish your the arrangement with your utility, I think something like that. The final message to the people, I think that's one thought I have. But I just want to, on a serious note, this is the time we think about people who are less fortunate than ours. We should think about all the time. And there is the annual charitable contribution, and all the Kenyatta always sends emails, and should all follow through with that. And I just want to wish each and every one of you very safe and healthy and happy holidays and prosperous coming new year. And I can't believe that 2021 went by so fast. Thank you.
And Commissioner, if you need any help with Santa Claus, I do know him personally.
Yeah, this is the time for Santa Claus to return to North Pole. Before that, fix all the arrears and arrangements.
I sent something out today wishing everyone a happy holiday and also bring you up to date. One of the things I'm really proud of is the fact that recently the Division of Reliability and Security moved into this building. And in progress now, and will be completed before the end of the year, the Division of Energy is moving into this building. The Economist Office moved into it some months ago, into this building. We are finally, all together in one building. And which, in my opinion, is important for a smooth, productive work environment. Now we're all here together. We can touch base with one another much easier, work with one another more closely, and continue to as you said, go, go, go. And and that really is important to me. And that was one of my goals when I became president, to do that. And another one of my goals is what you're sitting in right now, is to have our own boardroom. And we have achieved that too. So it's been a very, in many different ways, not just those two items I mentioned, a very productive 4 years. And I know we're going to have many more productive years as we continue on. Madam Secretary, the consent agenda, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the following consent agenda items, 1A, 2A, 2B, 3A, 6A, and 9A.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chilton?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fielder?
Yes. There are no items under audit. That will take us to energy, and the first presenter is going to be Joe DeLosa. So it must have something to do, Joe, with FERC.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. On July 15th, 2021, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or the Commission, published an advance notice of proposed rulemaking, or ANOPR, seeking comment on the current state of and potential improvements to transmission planning, cost allocation, and generator interconnection procedures, among others. On October 12th, 2021, the board timely filed 2 sets of initial comments in the ANOPR. On November 26, 2021, staff, on behalf of the board, and together with a wide range of state agencies, filed a set of reply comments. The reply comments reaffirm the broad benefits of competition in transmission planning and respond to incumbent transmission owners and others who seek instead to limit the scope of competition. In addition, the reply comments reinforce the need for an independent transmission monitor, highlighting the customer benefits that would be provided through additional transparency. Accordingly, staff recommends that the board ratify the reply comments filed November 26, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Joe? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chilton?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fielder?
Yes. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Lupo,
Good morning.
good morning. Item B regarding Rockland.
Rockland electric base rate case.
Right.
Is this on? Yeah. It's on.
Is it green?
Now it is. It was red.
No, it doesn't get any greener, so if it's green, it's...
I like the colors too, holiday colors,
Right.
red and green. On March 29th of this year, Rockland Electric Company filed a petition to defer until its next base rate case a net overcollection of $63,000 related to the company's transition bond charge. On May 21st of this year, RICO filed a petition to increase its current base rates for electric service by approximately $16.9 million, excluding sales and use tax, implement certain rate and tariff revisions, revise its existing depreciation rates, and consolidate the March 29th, 2021 petition. The company also requested a rate of return of 10%. The 2021 rate case matter was transmitted to the Office of Administrative Law and assigned to ALJ Bentecourt for consideration and hearing. ALJ Bentecourt issued an order consolidating the rate case and RICO's pending March 29, 2021 petition. On September 24th, 2021, RICO filed a petition seeking approval for deferred accounting treatment related to Tropical Storm Henri preparation costs that did not qualify for automatic deferral under the company's existing storm cost deferral mechanism. Throughout the course of the proceeding, RICO updated the rate case to include 12 months of actual data with an updated revenue requirement request of approximately $19.5 million. The parties have executed a stipulation, which was subsequently approved by the ALJ. Key components of the stipulation include a revenue requirement of $9.65 million, excluding taxes, a return on equity of 9.6%, a monthly residential charge of $5.39, excluding taxes. The company's uncollectible expense will be recovered under the societal benefits charge, which is a new treatment for RICO, consistent with ADICA. Return of the net over collected $63,000 to customers over a 3-year period, an 85% recovery of the storm Henri prep costs. As a result of the stipulation, if approved by the board, a typical residential electric customer would experience a monthly increase of $7.65. Staff recommends that the board adopt the initial decision, approve the stipulation for service rendered on or after January 1st, 2022, and direct RICO to file revised tariffs by December 30th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Comments? Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordino.
Yes. Item C, Paul, regarding PSE&G infrastructure.
Correct. On November 4th of this year, Public Service Electric and Gas Company filed a petition seeking approval for its proposed infrastructure advancement program, including an associated cost recovery mechanism. PSE&G is proposing to invest approximately $708 million in electric infrastructure and $140 million in gas infrastructure, or a total investment of $848 million over a 4-year period beginning June 2022 through June 2026. The proposed program includes 11 electric infrastructure projects and 1 gas infrastructure project. Staff recommends that the board issue an order designating a commissioner and setting a date in which entities seek to participate or intervene can file the appropriate application with the board by January 14th, 2022.
And who did you designate for that?
Commissioner Holden?
Oh, would you like to do that, Commissioner Holden?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'll move that as well.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. And Paul, I noticed in the memo that you have 12 electric projects. What happened to you said 11?
There's 11, I think it was 12 total, 11 electric,
Okay.
1 gas.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordino.
Yes. Item D, JCP&L, Paul?
On November 1st, Jersey Central Power and Light Company filed a petition seeking authority to maintain its administrative fee associated with the company's SREC 2 program for calendar year 2022. The company's SREC 2 program was approved by board order dated December 18th, 2013, and the administrative fee for the SREC 2 program participants was set at $17 per SREC. According to JCP&L, using the cost recovery provisions from the December 2013 order, the company would have to decrease the administrative fee from $17 to a credit of $10.22. JCP&L has a number of concerns with reducing the administrative fee. One, there is a risk of projects experiencing operational failures throughout the year. Program participants may default. There's yearly adjustments to the administrative fee will cause uncertainty for program participants, which may cause them to withdraw from the program. And program participants have already priced in the current costs into their SREC bids. Accordingly, in the petition, JCP&L requested authority to maintain the fee at $17 for calendar year 2022. On November 23rd of this year, Rate Counsel submitted a letter of non-objection to the company's request. subject to reevaluation at the end of 2022. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the continuation of the administrative fee for the SREC 2 program at the board's previously approved rate of $17 per SREC for calendar year
So moved.
2022.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes, and that brings us to E, another RICO item and SREC.
Correct. On September 1st, RICO filed a petition seeking authority to maintain its administrative fee and Reggie surcharge associated with the company's SREC 2 program for calendar year 2022. The company's SREC 2 program was also approved by board order December 18, 2013, and the administrative fee for the SREC 2 program participants was set at $30 per SREC. According to RICO, using the same cost recovery provisions from the December 2013 order, the company would have to decrease the administrative fee from $30 to $26.16, which could lead to an under-recovery in 2022 and future years. RICO requested authorization to maintain the fee at $30 for calendar year 2022 and proposed to maintain the current Reggie surcharge applicable to the SREC 2 program's direct charges at $0. Staff's recommending the board issue an order in this matter approving the continuation of the administrative fee for the SREC 2 program at the board's previously approved rate of $30 per SREC for calendar year 2022, and the parties will continue to review all other issues related to the petition.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. And F, South Jersey Gas, Paul?
On June 30th of this year, South Jersey Gas Company filed a petition seeking authority to establish rates to recover annualized increases in the revenue requirements associated with its AIRP2 program. The petition sought to recover $6.1 million based on actual cost from July 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2021, and projected expenditures from June 1, 2021 through May 30th, 2021. On October 26th, 2021, SJG updated the petition to include actual expenditures through September 30th with a modified revenue requirement of $7.1 million. The parties have executed a stipulation that would allow the company to recover a revenue requirement of $7.1 million consistent with the update, which if approved by the board would result in an annual increase of $1.89 for the typical residential gas heating customer. Staff recommends that the board issue an order approving the stipulation and direct South Jersey Gas to file revised tariffs by January 1st, 2021. I believe that should say monthly increase of $1.89. To January 1st, 2022. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. And G, Paul, Ace?
On July 9th of this year, Atlantic City Electric Company filed a petition seeking authority to adjust its rider Reggie surcharge associated with its legacy SREC 1 program, SREC 2 program, and its Transition Renewable Energy Certificate program, or TREC. In the petition, ACE sought to recover approximately $1.48 million of costs associated with the SREC 1 program based on actual costs from July 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2021, and projected program expenditures from June 1st, 2021 through October 31st, 2022. They also requested to maintain its administrative fee at $17.07 and Rider Reggie surcharge associated with the company's SREC 2 program for calendar year 2022, and recover approximately $7.3 million of costs associated with the TREC program based on actual costs from July 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2021, and projected program expenditures from June 1st, 2021 through October 31st, 2022. The company's SREC 2 program was approved by board order dated December 18, 2013, and the administrative fee for the SREC 2 program participants was set at $17.07 per SREC. According to ACE, using the cost recovery provisions from the December 2013 order, the company would have to increase the administrative fee from $17.07 to $53.16 per SREC, which may cause participants to withdraw from the SREC 2 program. Accordingly, in the petition, ACE requested authorization to carry forward unrecovered administrative fee balances for recovery in future annual periods, maintain the administrative fee at $17.07 for calendar year 2022, and maintain the Rider Reggie rate for the recovery of SREC 2 program costs at 0. Staff recommends that the board issue an order in this matter, approving the continuation of the administrative fee for the SREC 2 program at the board's previously approved rate of $17.07 for calendar year 2022, and the parties will continue to review all other issues related to the petition.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve the staff recommendation, Commissioner Walden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chilcoe,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowman,
Yes.
President Peterson.
Yes. Thank you,
Thank
Paul.
you.
Well done. There are just a couple items before I hand it over to Mike. One of the things that all of the utilities need to be involved with, particularly the electric ones. We see a lot of infrastructure, which is extremely important, particularly with the public service one. But we also have to see infrastructure to accommodate interconnection. As more and more renewable energy is produced, interconnection is going to become more and more important. Even this day, some of the utilities have difficulty interconnecting renewable energy. That cannot be. I want to see more infrastructure work done on interconnection so that when these renewables are ready to come online, some already are ready to come online and can't get interconnected, that grid is available to accept them. This is unacceptable. We have to lay the groundwork, just like we want to lay the groundwork for electric vehicles. We want that infrastructure to be there so that people feel confident that if they buy an electric vehicle, they're not going to run out of energy halfway down the turnpike. So, if you're listening to me, electric utility companies, interconnection, I want to see more of it. I want to see more work done on it. Also, on a positive note, one of the things I do every morning, because I don't have a life, is I check the statewide outages. And yesterday, no, I'm sorry, no, it wasn't yesterday. It was one day this week. I checked the outages at whatever time it was in the morning. And what do we have, almost 4 million customers that use it, right? Around 4 million? The total number of outages statewide was 8. 8. No zeros after it. 8.
That was just the commissioners?
All the commissioners' homes were without power, but it, absolutely amazing. So congratulations, utilities, as far as that's concerned. 8 outages statewide out of over 4 million customers. That's pretty darn remarkable.
Mr. President?
So the various programs that we have put into effect over the past number of years certainly is paying off. Yes, Bob?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to endorse your comments about the interconnection issue. You know, I think this is really critical, I mean, particularly given the fact that we're likely to see some resources flowing from Washington that will just create even more demand for interconnections. And I think it would be important for us, and I believe we are, about to evaluate just how well the EDCs are performing when it comes to their obligations to facilitate interconnections.
Agreed. Agreed. Thank you. Yes.
Yesterday, Commissioner Solomon and I met with one of the electric distribution companies, and that was sort of the underlying theme that was recognized was that, you know, we've done a lot for transmission. Transmission is still probably the most expensive part of our electric bill. But we've got to be able to concentrate on the distribution system and modernizing the distribution system. That's where all the complaints come from the storms. It's not transmission. This transmission, you're going to lose the whole, the whole ball of wax. But it's these interconnections that are going to be critical. It's going to also be just the delivery of service, normal service, whether you're having an electric car that you're charging up in your garage or not, or your solar installations. It's going to be critical that the distribution system be able to be viewed, not analog, but to be viewed virtually. And so there's going to be a lot of upgrades that come, and let's hope the Biden bucks come through for this, because it's really going to take us to the next level.
Indeed. Yes.
Yeah, and in doing that, we, really have to rely on our energy division and, those that are reviewing those proposals to ensure that we do it in a way that makes sense. I mean, you can look to some other areas in the country where there may have been more of a rush to, bring things online, and you see the consequent problems of what can happen if you're not ready to bring this new technology online. And in a lot of ways, New Jersey has been ahead of the curve on a number of areas, whether it we were also speaking yesterday, about cyber and how we have approached that, and in a thoughtful manner, that we continue to do so, and that there be recognition out there that this is not something, make my parody here, I do it at a flip of a switch, but you want to do in a smart way that is thought out, and it's a really complicated system, especially in a state like New Jersey that is so densely populated and crowded, and something that was pointed out by the switching station we saw yesterday, the ingenuity they had and how they designed this. But that particular project, what did we say, started back in 2014. So if you want to do it right and do it smartly, you really have to take the time to look at the system as a whole and do it in a reasonable way. And I'm sure that's something that we will do.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's an excellent point. These things don't happen overnight. And not being ready is not an option. Not an option.
Mr. President, I think the interconnection problems have been there for quite some time. I think what we need to do is that we need to overlay some of the renewable energy projects that are coming along and looking at the existing infrastructure overlay and see, identify where the problems are and need to come up with a holistic solution. Right now, we're approaching it as a piecemeal, so we need to think about that hard and
Yeah, and we have to come up with that solution in cooperation and in conjunction with the EDCs.
of course.
They have to be full partners here, and again, not being ready is not an option. No items under cable television, no items on telecommunications. Michael, I think you're finally up, and we have a number of water issues, so let's look at A, Atlantic City Storage.
Good morning, Mr. President and
Good morning.
Commissioners. On July 21st, 2021, Atlantic City Sewer Company filed a petition for a $2.5 million increase in annual revenues. Under Atlantic City's proposal, base rates would have increased by approximately 11.9%. The matter was transmitted to the Office of Administrative Law for hearings and was assigned to Administrative Law Judge Jacob Gertzman. After proper notice, ALJ Gertzman conducted 2 virtual public hearings during the afternoon and evening of October 20th, 2021. No members of the public appeared at either hearing. Subsequent to the public hearings and before the scheduled evidentiary hearings, Atlantic City Sewer, the Division of Rate Counsel, and board staff entered into a stipulation that resolved all issues. The stipulation agrees to a $1.7 million increase in annual revenues, which is a base rate increase of 8.2%. ALJ Gertzman filed his initial decision recommending that the board adopt the stipulation, and staff recommends that the board adopt ALJ Gertzman's initial decision.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
I'm glad we're keeping Jake busy.
Yeah. Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordino.
Yes. Item B, Suez. Michael?
On October 14th, 2021, the town of Kearney filed a petition pursuant to the New Jersey Water Supply Public-Private Contract Act, NJSA 58:26-19 et sec, for approval of a services renewal contract with Suez Environmental Services, Inc. Suez currently operates Kearney's municipally owned water system under the terms of an existing public-private contract. The board has no other jurisdiction over Kearney. Kearney had previously notified the board, the Department of Community Affairs, and the Department of Environmental Protection that it intended to enter into the public-private contract. The Division of Rate Counsel, by letter dated December 2nd, 2021, notified the board that it did not object to the terms of the contract. The DCA's local finance board approved the contract at its December 18th, 2021 public agenda meeting. Staff recommends that the board adopt the public-private contract.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordino.
Yes. Item C, Middlesex Water, Michael.
On May 20th, 2021, Middlesex Water Company filed a petition for a $31.3 million increase in annual revenues. Middlesex's proposal would have resulted in a 37.79% base rate increase. The matter was transmitted to the Office of Administrative Law for hearings and was assigned to ALJ Gertzman. ALJ Gertzman granted intervenor status to Marlborough Township and to East Brunswick Township and the Old Bridge Municipal Utilities Authority, which I'm going to collectively refer to as the intervenors. After proper notice, ALJ Gertzman conducted 2 virtual public hearings during the afternoon and evening of August 31st, 2021. No members of the public appeared at either hearing. Subsequent to the public hearings and before the scheduled evidentiary hearings, Middlesex, the Division of Rate Counsel, and board staff, which I'm going to collectively refer to as the signatory parties, entered into a stipulation that resolved all issues. The stipulation agrees to a $27.7 million increase in annual revenues, which amounts to a base rate increase of 33.64%. Due to the size of the increase, the signatory parties agreed that the rate increase should be implemented in 2 phases. If the board adopts the agreement, the signatory parties agree that the first phase of the increase would be effective on January 1st, 2022. The signatory parties further agreed that the second phase of the increase would become effective on January 1st, 2023. Under the terms of the stipulation, the bill for an average residential customer using approximately 2,000 cubic feet of water per quarter would increase by $40.91 from $138.95 to $179.86 during the first phase of the increase. The bill for that same customer would increase by an additional $13.65 per quarter from $179.86 per quarter to $193.51 per quarter. The interveners filed letters stating that they do not object to the stipulation. ALJ filed his initial decision recommending that the board adopt the stipulation. Staff recommends that the board adopt ALJ Gertzman's initial decision.
So moved.
Second.
This increase, and I'll get into some more details, but just as a headline, is unacceptable. It's just too much money. Just too much for the ratepayer and so on. And I want to encourage Middlesex in the future, if they have to come in for any rate increases, to do it in a more prudent way, so that a customer is not suddenly hit with a 30+% increase in their water bill, or their electric bill, or their gas bill, or whatever. And this is true for any of the utilities that we regulate. I recognize that it's been 3 years since Middlesex last rate case. Maybe they should come in a little more frequently if they're going to have this. I also recognize that the company has invested about $267 million in capital investments, including a treatment plant expansion and large transmission main reinforcements. While these are critical investments, and I'm not denying that they're needed, we are also up here, and I'll just speak for myself, mindful of the impact on the ratepayer. It's quite a sizable impact. One that we're not used to considering up on this dais. They are significantly, this impact is significantly more burdensome than usual. I expect Middlesex Water Company, and all of the utilities for that matter, to be aggressive in utilizing all available options in order to minimize the rate impact on the ratepayer. It's vital. And if it requires more frequent visits as far as rate cases are concerned, and I'm not talking every 6 months, maybe that's what we have to encourage them to do. But I'm somewhat upset by this amount of increase. I will certainly support it because of all the expenditures that they have done, but I would expect them to be more forthcoming in the future as far as costs are concerned. Any other questions or comments?
One thing that we could do is we could encourage Middlesex to reinstitute the DSIC. They haven't had a DSIC in about 6 years, and if they did have the DSIC, they could have implemented at least a small portion of the increase periodically as they upgraded their disc eligible.
And Mike, why don't they have the DSIC?
They just discontinued it about 6 years ago. They felt that it was better just to do everything all at once in base rate increases. But, you know, as we see with this matter, why them not having a DSIC, the impact of the rate increase was larger, and it would have been phased in over time, a portion of it anyway, with the DSIC.
Well, I would urge them to revisit that and seriously revisit that. Because again, this kind of increase is not fair to the ratepayer.
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
For the benefit of the listeners who may not know about arcane water accounting principles, Mike, could you explain what that mechanism is all about?
The DSIC, which stands for Distribution System Improvement Charge, allows the water companies to make investments and increase their rates periodically with things like service lines, transmission lines, and meters. And they could do that without having to, they have to do a public hearing because the rates do change. But it's a streamlined rate process, and it reduces cost for the filing of a rate increase, and it allows the rates to increase gradually over time as opposed to all at once, as in this instance.
Thank you, Bob. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mike, I just saw a news clip that Middlesex Water made the news about disconnecting the South Plain Field, Park Avenue well, and I mean, public, you know, they have a right to know that, so I just
Yes.
any comments on that.
Middlesex receives a substantial amount of its supply from underground wells, and their largest well field is on Park Avenue in South Plainfield, and it's been subject to concerns by the Department of Environmental Protection because the PFOA levels exceed the DEP's requirements. So the DEP is working with Middlesex to resolve that issue. They've taken the Park Avenue well field out of service, and they are buying water from additional supplies. And Middlesex is, my understanding is Middlesex is working with the Department of Environmental Protection to issue another letter to its customers, letting them know the current status of its water supply.
And just so the public understands, the DEP is in charge of the water quality.
Yes.
The BPU is in charge of the infrastructure and the nuts and bolts, I guess you might say,
Yes.
of the operation. So they're two agencies that really oversee the water industry
Yes.
in different ways.
Is this PFOA or PFAS?
I've heard it referred to as PFOA and PFAS, and I'm not sure if it's the same thing or if it's two different chemicals. Yeah.
But I think PFAS is the one that made the news. I mean, when they disconnected, there a lot of news articles talked about PFAS contamination. That's why they had boil water advisory for Middlesex County and all that.
Yes.
No, there's never been a boil water advisory because it's only been a tier 2 level violation. First of all, if it's tier 1, then you get your boil advisories and water distribution and filtration, whatever, because you have to act within 24 hours. If it's a tier 2 violation, you've got 30 days. So we have to put the whole PFAS thing in perspective as well. Middlesex, the DEP level or the national level has been 40 parts per trillion. The Park Avenue site has always operated at 26 parts per trillion or less. Our DEP has much more strict requirement and has changed the level to 13 parts per trillion. That's was the out of compliance. So it's really a statistical thing. You'd have to drink that water, what is it, a gallon of the water every day for, or gallons of the water every day for 70 years before you might even possibly 1 in a million chance of suffering any kind of carcinogenic response. But that's neither here nor there. They've always been in compliance. They took the well field out of compliance so they can get that plant back into compliance. They have said they will bring it online if there's an emergency, such as a huge fire, like Chicago fire. You know, and they would need that kind of water supply. It can still be used for that kind of benefit. But the water supply that they have is sufficient and as well in their new plant, which is part of what we're paying for today, and also in what they are purchasing. So I still want this fear to be out there that
No.
Yeah.
something bad in the water.
No, and I agree, and there shouldn't be fear, because I agree with what you're saying. Having said that, though, ever since Flint, Michigan, people do have fear.
Yes.
And it's up to us as a regulatory body, and it's up to Middlesex Water to reduce that level of fear in their PR and in trying to explain exactly where they are, just so there is no panic, and I agree with you.
And that's, you know, that's what's critical to make sure that DEP works in concert with these water companies, whether
There you
municipal or investor-owned, that they're able to get this out in a timely manner so people don't hear this and then they start talking, I don't know what's going on. So, you know, if they can speed up the wordsmithing on all sides, it would be very helpful.
The wordsmithing can take a very long time in my experience.
Okay, anyone else? Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yeah, I'll vote yes, rather reluctantly, but I'll vote yes. D, Michael Suez?
Suez and Atlantic City Sewer. On the board's current uniform system of accounts for water utilities was adopted back in 1959 and became effective in 1960. The board's uniform system of accounts for sewer utilities was adopted in 1957. In January of 2021, in the New Jersey Register, the board adopted new rules that would require the water and wastewater utilities to follow the 1996 Uniform System of Accounts for water and wastewater utilities effective January 1st of 2022. By letter dated November 4th, Suez requested a one-year extension of the time for it to implement the new Uniform System of Accounts for water. And on November 8th, 2021, Atlantic City Sewer followed with a similar request asking to delay implementation of the effective date of the new Uniform System of Accounts until January 1st, 2023. Both Atlantic City Sewer and Suez explained that the number of accounts that need to be converted from the existing Uniform System of Accounts to the new Uniform System of Accounts was going to take some time and had many transactions that needed to be tested. So they respectfully requested that the board grant them the extension. The Division of Rate Counsel filed a letter saying that they do not object to the extension for either company, and staff recommends that the board waive the requirement that Atlantic City Sewer and Suez Water New Jersey begin following the Uniform System of Accounts from January 1st of 2022 until January 1st of 2023.
So moved.
Second.
I'm going to sleep better. Knowing that we adopted the uniform.
A little bit longer is not a problem for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
it only took me 40 years to
And Michael,
get it done.
you're certainly a demonstration of perseverance. Any questions for Michael on that? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fiordino?
Yes. Item E, Michael, Aqua.
On August 10th, 2021, Aqua New Jersey filed a petition that proposed to decrease its purchased sewage treatment adjustment clause, or PSTAC rates, for the calendar year 2022. The matter was retained by the board. No public hearing was required because Aqua's petition proposed a rate decrease. Aqua has several sewer divisions that purchase sewage treatment from various municipal utilities authorities. Aqua's Walk-Hill division provides wastewater service to approximately 400 customers in a portion of Hargeston Township. Walk-Hill transmits the wastewater it collects to the Sussex County Municipal Utilities Authority. Aqua's Maxim division provides wastewater service to approximately 2,600 customers in Howell Township. Maxim transmits the wastewater that it collects to the Ocean County Municipal Utilities Authority. Aqua also purchased wastewater treatment services from the Logan Township Municipal Utilities Authority, or LTMUA. LTMUA treats all of the wastewater collected by Aqua in its Woolwich service territory. LTMUA bills the company a fixed monthly amount for each equivalent dwelling unit, or EDU. There are approximately 2,600 EDUs for which the LTMUA provides treatments. Aqua's last wastewater base rate case concluded in December 2020 and implemented a uniform fixed PSTAC for all wastewater customers. Following discovery, a stipulation was entered into by representatives of Aqua, Rate Council, and board staff. Although the petition requested a decrease in the PSTAC rate in the amount of approximately $29,000, the parties have determined that the current PSTAC rate should remain the same for 2022, and the stipulation agrees to maintain the current PSTAC with no change. Staff recommends that the board adopt the stipulation.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fiordino?
Yes. And item F, Atlantic City Sewer Treatment.
Atlantic City Sewer Company does not treat the wastewater that it collects from its customers. Rather, its wastewater is transmitted to the Atlantic County Utilities Authority for treatment. On September 9th, 2021, Atlantic City Sewer Company filed a petition for approval of a decrease in its purchased sewage treatment adjustment clause, or PSTAC. The matter was retained by the board. No public hearing was required because the petition proposed a rate decrease. Following discovery and settlement discussions, Atlantic City Sewer Company, the Division of Rate Council, and board staff entered into a stipulation which resolved all issues. The stipulation agrees that Atlantic City Sewer Company's current PSTAC should be decreased by approximately $1.9 million as reflected on Exhibit A to the stipulation. The PSTAC rate will decrease from $26.125 per thousand cubic feet of metered water to $20.406 per thousand cubic feet of water, a decrease of approximately $6 per thousand cubic feet of water. The annual bill for the average wastewater customer using 9.3 thousand cubic feet of metered water will decrease from $571.28 to $518.09, a decrease of $53.19, which is an approximately 9.3% decrease annually. Staff recommends that the board adopt the stipulation.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fiordino?
Yes. Thank you, Michael. And Ben, you're going to present item G, also involving Suez and another company.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. I'm pleased to be joining Michael Kammer, the Director of Water Division, for this item. Item 5G is the joint petition of Violia and Suez, two French companies with operations and regulated utilities in New Jersey, seeking approval of a change of control through a merger of the two companies. This is a large and complex merger, and I want to acknowledge the intensive efforts of board staff over the last several months for their careful analysis and review of this matter. Suez Water New Jersey, Inc., the New Jersey subsidiary of Suez S.A., provides water and wastewater services to approximately 258,000 residential and commercial customers across 9 counties in New Jersey. Board staff recommends approval of the transaction under the terms reflected in the stipulation of settlement. Staff believes that the stipulation is responsive to all applicable statutes and regulations and protects customers and employees while maintaining current rates, capital investment levels, staffing, and service levels. In addition, the Rate Council is a signatory to the stipulation as well. The following major elements are included in the stipulation of settlement. This transaction will not impact rates or service for existing customers of Suez Water New Jersey via a stay-out provision through at least June 30th of 2023. Joint petitioners commit to maintaining Suez Water New Jersey's current capital spending plan. Joint petitioners will assist customers who are delinquent on payments by 60 days or more as a result of the COVID pandemic by contributing an amount equal to 30% of total residential and commercial arrearages that are more than 60 days past due as bill credits to those affected customers. Petitioners will also expand shareholder-funded relief to low-income customers by contributing $1,185,000 to the Suez Water New Jersey CARES program. The joint petitioners have committed to maintain current staffing levels in New Jersey for at least 3 years and agreed to maintain a customer call center in New Jersey for at least 5 years. As I mentioned earlier, staff recommends that the board approve the stipulation and the proposed transaction.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Just a comment. My understanding is that because Jackie O'Grady of Ben's staff did some very diligent research on protections imposed by other states, we were able to really enhance the package of provisions that we included. And I just publicly commend her.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, Jackie did a very good job researching what was going on in the other states.
Great.
Great.
Thanks, Bob. Any other questions, comments? Yes.
This was a huge, given the volume of all the work that Water has done just on this today, on this agenda. Adding this to the pile was not an easy task, but I know many hours were put into this, and it's appreciated. It's interesting. Welcome, Violia, to the world of regulation. They're already pretty well known in the United States for the contract work that they do, and pretty excited. I do hope that, I'm glad that they're going to continue the capital program. It's always a problem with when you have a merger. I would like to see, hopefully, that in the future we can coax them to keeping the call center local. It's a little difficult when you get on the phone sometimes with the French. It doesn't always translate what you want to have done, especially in the cable world. But so anyway, good job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I think the staff has done a lot of work in this area, and Violia has been around in Trenton. They're providing the district electric service to the Trenton Hotel, what we call Trenton Hotel. I like some of the provisions of low-income relief of $1.2 million, and then contribution towards community benefits. I think hopefully they'll continue. Violia will continue what Suez has been doing. I think that's great.
A job well done, Mike, Ben, and your staff, respective staffs, and so on. And one of the important things, and my colleagues have mentioned many, is the retention of jobs, and jobs here in the state of New Jersey. And that's something with any kind of merger that we have to work very hard to maintain and ensure the fact that no one is going to be left out in the cold, so to speak, here. So, if there are no other comments or questions, roll call.
On the motion to approve staff recommendation, Commissioner Walden,
Yes.
Commissioner Tomlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
President Rizzo.
Yes. Thank you very much, man. There are no items under reliability and security. Under customer assistance, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. I remember to turn the mic on this time. Before you is a matter of a billing dispute between Scott Wasselick and Jersey Central Power and Light Company. The petition.
Julie, could you just get that a little closer to you?
Sure, sorry. And I turned it on, right? This matter involves a billing dispute between Scott Wasselick and Jersey Central Power and Light Company. The petition was received by the board in July of 2019 and transmitted to the OAL September of 2019 and assigned to ALJ Irene Jones. Mr. Wasselick alleged that JCP&L incorrectly billed his account. He claimed that JCP&L's billing was based on the wrong meter and requested JCP&L credit his account in full for the time in question. JCP&L in its answer stated that an investigation was performed to determine the appropriate meter associated with Mr. Wasselick's apartment. The investigation revealed that Mr. Wasselick was billed for the wrong meter. JCP&L contended that after the adjustment made between the billed meter and Mr. Wasselick's apartment meter, it resulted in charges owed by Mr. Wasselick of $42.47. In her initial decision, ALJ Jones concluded that Mr. Wasselick failed to sustain the burden of proof. In order to prevail, Mr. Wasselick must demonstrate that he does not owe the respondent or JCP&L any money on his account or that he was overcharged for his consumption. He has failed to make such a showing. The adjustment from the switch meter was only $42.47. However, Mr. Wasselick did not pay anything on his account during the entire dispute, some 18 months. While ALJ Jones found credible Mr. Wasselick's testimony that he spent a great deal of time and effort on this matter, she concluded that Mr. Wasselick is not entitled to free electric service. To allow such would require other JCP&L customers to subsidize his costs as the account becomes an uncollectible expense which the company is entitled to recover in rates. ALJ Jones ordered the requested relief in this matter be denied and the matter be dismissed. Staff recommends that the board adopt the initial decision.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff recommendation, Commissioner Walden,
Yes.
Commissioner Tomlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Warden,
Yes.
President Rizzo.
Yes, and Julie, thank you, and
Thank you.
please know our thoughts have been with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Clean Energy, Mr. Hunter. Item A, New Jersey Solar Transmission.
Yes, sir. Hello, Commissioners.
Oh, Scott.
It was tough getting in that chair. This item relates to a subsection T application from Trina Solar to have its Sicklerville Road landfill solar project certified as being on a properly closed sanitary landfill pursuant to subsection T of the Solar Act. The applicant's 2.418 megawatt DC project
is proposed to be located on 18.44 acres at the Monroe Township landfill in Monroe Township, Gloucester County, New Jersey. Staff reviewed the application and supplied a copy to the NJDEP, Department of Environmental Protection, for their review. We subsequently received an advisory memo on the application where the DEP determined that the proposed site is a properly closed sanitary landfill as defined by the Solar Act of 2012. The DEP also provided specific requirements for permits and approvals from the DEP that the project must satisfy. Based upon the review of the application and the advisory memo provided by the DEP, staff recommends the following 3 items. That the board grant conditional certification of the Sicklerville Road Solar Project as proposed for the Monroe Township landfill on property defined as a properly closed sanitary landfill consistent with the Solar Act of 2012. Find the conditions for certification provided by the DEP be fully documented as satisfied by the applicant prior to staff's issuance of full certification, and direct the applicant to file its TREC registration within 14 days of the date of the order.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Scott? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chikula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Rodriguez.
Yes. Item B, Scott?
Yes, sir. This item relates to a request from Sincarfa for an extension of time to complete its Sincarfa GEMS landfill project in the Transition Incentive Program, or the TI program. On September 10, 2021, Sincarfa submitted a petition for an extension of the deadline in the TI program for their 4.5 megawatt DC project. The solar developer submitted a subsection T for this subsection T application for this project toward obtaining SREC eligibility in November 2017. The DEP issued an administrative consent order for the landfill in September 2019 and subsequently issued a final memo on the subsection T application to board staff in October 2019. The board provided conditional certification to the application on November 13, 2019. The SREC registration processing team issued a project acceptance letter on December 20th, 2019, with a 2-year project completion deadline of December 20th, 2021. On May 28, 2020, the developer petitioned for eligibility in the Transition Incentive Program, which the board granted on July 15, 2020. On July 24, 2021, due to impacts on solar project development from the COVID-19 crisis and changes brought by the Clean Energy Act of 2018, the board granted subsection T applicants registered in the TI program on or before the effective date of the order an extension to the latter of April 30th, 2022, or the date set by the board order granting the project's conditional certification. With the petition under consideration today, the developer seeks an extension of their current deadline to commence commercial operations from April 2022 to October 2022. The justification cited for this request is that the NJDEP and the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs permitting and other delays directly associated with the COVID-19 pandemic have made it impossible for the petitioner to meet the April 30th, 2022 deadline established in the Transition Incentive Extension Order. Staff notes that the Transition Incentive Program was intended as an interim measure until a successor program was available. The TI incentive levels were based upon solar costs in the SREC program from as early as 2018. The board closed the TI program on August 27th of this year after an extensive stakeholder process and an order providing 30 days public notice. The successor solar incentive program opened on August 28th with an interim subsection T market segment providing 75 megawatts DC of capacity that is currently open for applications. Based upon the review of the petition, staff recommends the following 3 items. Specifically, the board find that the petitioner has already received additional time to compensate for the delays cited in the petition, including the 6-month extension granted in June of this year. Deny the petition and encourage the petitioner to pursue an incentive through the interim subsection T administratively determined incentive program by submitting an application to the board secretary's office for that program and exempt the project from any additional review by the NJDEP if the developer can attest that the site conditions remain the same as those that existed when the DEP reviewed this application in 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Scott? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff recommendations, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Me too. Oh, yes. Sorry.
Commissioner Chikula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Realizar?
Yes, I was going to say something before I called for the vote, and basically it was, this is, we addressed requests for extension for TI, and it's probably likely that we're going to have many more requests. And I just wanted to ensure the fact that the board is taking aggressive action to investigate and weigh the pervasiveness of these concerns. It takes a lot of investigation to legitimize requests and things of that sort. Today's decision is the first of what will likely be a number of requests for TI extensions. And we have to take each one individually and see the direction we want to go. One of the items that has come out of this, of these petitions, is the assertion about utility interconnection, which we addressed earlier in this meeting, and the delays in those interconnections. And that's one of the areas that has to be investigated. And I think we made that clear as a board earlier in this meeting about the interconnections being a vital part of ensuring the fact that we continue to produce clean energy that can be connected. So it's certainly vital. Okay, and we did vote on this, right? Yeah, because I generally forget that, don't I? C, I think that's still you.
Yes, sir.
Scott?
It is.
God, we're getting a lot of Scott today.
I promise this will be the last.
Okay. Promise.
This item relates to an application submitted by Advanced Solar Products for remote net metering at the Woodbridge Township Department of Public Works. The Clean Energy Act of 2018 directed the board to establish an application and approval process to certify public entities to act as a host customer for remote net metering capacity within 120 days of enactment. In compliance with this directive, the board approved such a process and public entities certification agreement by order dated September 17, 2018. On September 14, 2021, Advanced Solar Products submitted a remote net metering application for Woodbridge Township to the board's secretary's office. The application included a fully executed public entity certification agreement and an interconnection application, Part 1, executed by the Woodbridge Township Business Administrator as a representative of the customer generator. The public entity certification agreement lists 2 host customer accounts by account number and their associated historic annual consumption, which was used for sizing the solar electric generation facility. Staff found that the size of the generator was correctly determined by summing the consumption from both accounts, dividing by the number of host accounts, and further dividing by the 1,200 kilowatt hours per kilowatt production factor as specified in the September order. The certification agreement further specifies that the primary host account, where the proposed 822 kilowatt solar electric generation facility will be located, is the Woodbridge Department of Public Works. The agreement also indicates that the two host customer accounts will be serving as the receiving customer accounts and lists the percentage allocation of credits from the proposed solar facility. Staff confirmed with PSE&G as the electric distribution company serving Woodbridge its receipt of their customers' remote net metering application. PSE&G advised staff that it received both the public certification agreement and Part 1 of the interconnection application and found them to be administratively complete and feasible. PSE&G further advised that it has reviewed the interconnection application and granted conditional approval to install. Staff recommends the following 3 items. That the board find that the applicant has proposed a solar electric generation facility that is consistent with the size limits established by the board's September 2018 remote net metering order. Find that the proposed solar electric generation facility described in the remote net metering application satisfies the criteria set out by the board in the remote net metering order, and approve the public entity certification agreement for the Woodbridge Township project.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordino.
Yes. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, sir.
Clean energy item D, Ariane, regarding a community solar item.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
So item 8D relates to deadlines in effect for community solar projects participating in program year 1 of the Community Solar Energy Pilot Program. These program year 1 projects are subject to 2 separate deadlines. First, the pilot program community solar deadline for project completion, and second, the transition incentive program eligibility deadline. On October 28, 2021, the board approved a rule amendment to the pilot program project completion deadlines at NJAC 14:8-9.3C8. As a consequence, program year 1 projects have a completion deadline of December 30th, 2021, which is 18 months, plus a 6-month extension granted by staff from the effective date of the board order that granted them conditional approval, i.e. from December 30th, 2019. In order to ensure that the program year 1 community solar deadline ends on the same date as the program year 1 project's transition incentive program deadline, staff recommends that the board grant an extension to the program year 1 community solar deadline to become fully operational to April 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordino.
Yes. Thank you, Ariane.
Thank you very much.
That brings us to items E and F under clean energy, both of which were discussed in executive session, and both are MOU items. Jim?
President, Commissioners, as discussed in executive session, this matter is a proposed memorandum of agreement between BPU and the National Offshore Wind Research and Development Consortium, which I will refer to as now RDC, that establishes the procedures and process by which the consortium uses the funds committed by New Jersey as part of our membership in the consortium. The Offshore Wind Strategic Plan, adopted by the board on September 9, 2020, recommended, among other things, that New Jersey join other states to coordinate regional monitoring and research in order to support scientific and technical research at state and regional levels to address issues related to offshore wind energy project planning, siting, construction, operation, and monitoring. One of the more prominent U.S. regional offshore wind research organizations is the NOW RDC, established in 2018 as a not-for-profit corporation to facilitate and enhance the expansion and implementation of offshore wind research and development. On July 6, 2021, the BPU submitted a letter of intent to NOW RDC to join the consortium as a public sponsor member. And on July 14, 2021, the consortium's board of directors approved the BPU's public sponsor membership. This membership requires a commitment of $1 million to the consortium over the 4-year period from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2025 to support research initiatives in offshore wind, as well as a commitment for the BPU to provide $25,000 per year for its annual membership dues to support consortium operations and administration. Staff recommends that the board approve the MOA and authorize the president to sign it.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments?
Comments.
Yes.
And make the same comment I made in executive session, that we as a board in supporting research and development in this area, certainly I think we can all see the benefits of that, but as we pursue a clean energy future, we're going to need likewise research and development in other areas, whether it be on the what the gas industry is doing to clean up its sources, the electric, and even with respect to water research opportunities, that energy water nexus. And in the past, I think we've been reluctant in supporting our utilities in participating in these research entities, and we should maybe revisit that when these items come up, whether it be in a race case or some other time, so that we can be consistent regardless of who the applicant, whether and the generation source, to make sure that they have the opportunity to reach the same clean energy goals as we're supporting here today.
Yeah, I concur with the commissioner as far as the research is concerned throughout the renewable energy arena. And as a leader in offshore wind, it's vital, in my opinion, for us to belong to organizations like this one, Jim, that provides the kind of research that we're going to need and that we're going to ultimately use as we continue down the road of 7,500 megawatts of offshore wind by 2035. It's important that this research and these organizations are there to help us prudently look at and execute the charge that this board has in offshore wind and in other renewable energy initiatives. So I fully agree and support this. Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
I just want to say,
No, hold on the roll call. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
I think the offshore wind and these technologies are new technologies, and there is not, if you look at coal and natural gas, they've been around for quite some time. So when you do research and you're trying to do things, and this type of approach is trying to lower the offshore wind renewable energy certificates, OX, I think these are all important. They are in the interest of the ratepayer. I'm not saying what Commissioner Solomon is not correct. What I'm saying is that when you look into the future and you look into newer technologies and you see how we can give them a boost for them to go forward, I think that is the intent of today's MOU and order. Thank you.
Did you want to say something?
I just, maybe I want to clarify, because it's sort of two different things. We're not saying that, the electric distribution companies, the water companies, the gas companies, if they go into research and development, that's on them, on what they're going to do. They're joining different organizations, they're supporting different networks, that's great. There's nothing for this right now. So this is, and we don't have shareholders. So we have customers of companies that we collect the societal benefit charge that helps to underwrite organizations such as this we're joining. And it's going to be a tremendous benefit because all the things under this agreement are things that are going to benefit the state of New Jersey. The research is going to be done by organizations within the state of New Jersey. So, I think we're maybe talking about two different things about research and development. This is something, we're creating something, sort of as Commissioner Sumikola said, that hasn't existed before. So I'm definitely in support of this.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
Motion to approve staff recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Sumikola,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Teresa.
Yes, and we have another MOU, Jim.
Yes, President Commissioners, as discussed in executive session, this matter is a memorandum of understanding between BPU and DEP on how the $10,000 per megawatt fee charged to each of the successful developers in the second offshore wind solicitation to support research initiatives and the regional monitoring of wildlife and fisheries related to the introduction of offshore wind projects. This initiative is being referred to as the Research and Monitoring Initiative, or RMI. The RMI will further the scientific understanding of the impacts from the offshore wind farms, both beneficial and detrimental, on existing natural resources and ecosystems through all phases of offshore wind farm development, pre-construction, construction, operation, and decommissioning. This MOU establishes that the BPU and the DEP will work cooperatively as equal partners to establish the procedures and protocols for utilization of the RMI fee, as well as the establishment, implementation, and oversight of this collaborative interagency effort. Staff recommends that the board approve the MOU and authorize the president to sign it.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
Motion to approve staff recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Sumikola,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Teresa.
Yes, thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
That brings us to item G, Kathleen. Obviously involving EVs.
Good morning, Commissioners. There we go. Thank you very much. As you know, in 2020, Governor Murphy set a goal of having 330,000 electric vehicles on New Jersey's roads by 2025. Those objectives were endorsed and amplified by the publication of the Energy Master Plan, which noted that the transportation sector makes up over 40% of all emissions in the state. Included in the state objectives were goals to have chargers at 30% of all multi-unit dwellings, otherwise known as MUDs, by 2030. The FY22 New Jersey State Budget and Appropriations Act allocated an additional $14 million to the board for the purposes of funding EV infrastructure. Staff is recommending utilizing $1 million of that $14 million to provide incentives for MUD owners and property managers to install level 2 chargers at their facilities. This program comes on the heels of the governor signing a New Jersey law requiring new MUDs to provide EV chargers and to ensure their facilities include additional make-ready for EV charging. Additionally, the BPU, the Department of Environmental Protection, and the Department of Community Affairs collaborated to create a statewide municipal ordinance to clarify the permitting processes for EV chargers. Investment in MUD charging is one clear way to ensure equitable access to EVs, ensuring that it is not only single-family homeowners who can charge their EVs at home. Eligible MUDs may be apartments, condominiums, or mixed residential locations that feature a minimum of 5 units and have dedicated off-street parking. The program would provide incentives as follows: $1,500 for level 2 chargers, 50% of the make-ready infrastructure for all eligible chargers at MUDs up to $5,000, and a bonus incentive for EV chargers and make-ready infrastructure at MUDs located in overburdened municipalities, a total of $2,000 for level 2 EV chargers and 75% of the make-ready per eligible level 2 EV charging station up to $7,500 for those overburdened municipalities. Eligible entities may apply for up to 6 level 2 EV chargers. Staff recommends that the board approve this program and authorize staff to implement moving forward.
So moved.
Second.
This is very exciting because it, again, expands the participation of all communities within the state of New Jersey into renewable energy, into, in this case, electric vehicles. If you live in a multi-dwelling, that doesn't automatically dictate to you that you can't participate. And this is a start, and we're beginning. And every segment of our population must have the opportunity to participate in the clean energy revolution that we're going through in this country and in this state. And that's vitally important, whether we're talking about community solar, whether we're talking about the program that you've just illustrated. And it's just vital. And also demonstrated in this program is the cooperation between 3 different departments within state government. It takes a whole government effort, just as it takes a whole private sector effort to mitigate the effects of climate change. If you read the paper this morning, the Antarctica is, any minute, it sounded like, a chunk of that iceberg, the size of the state of Florida, is going to break away. Well, that's something to be concerned about. Scientists are telling us that sea level rise can be between 2 and 6 feet by the year 2100. That's a problem for coastal communities. So, in other words, it's a full court press by government, by individuals, by all of us. Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff recommendation, Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Pearson?
Yes. Thank you, Kathleen.
Yep.
That brings us to miscellaneous items A and B presented by Kevin. And A was discussed in executive session and is another MOU, right, Kevin?
Good afternoon, President and Commissioners. Item 9A is in the matter of the New Jersey Fuel Cell Task Force. On June 19th, 2020, Governor Murphy signed into law, PL 2020, Chapter 38, which created the New Jersey Fuel Cell Task Force. This task force is housed within the BPU, and the BPU is required to staff the task force. The task force currently consists of 13 members, including executive branch members and governor's appointees from private industry. Commissioner Chivukula is the chair of the task force. The purpose of the Fuel Cell Task Force is to develop a plan to increase the use of fuel cells in the state and to provide information, education, and resources for that purpose. The task force must issue an annual report detailing their plan to increase the use of fuel cells in the state, including any recommendations for legislative or regulatory action that are necessary to effectuate the plan. Their first report is due on April 21st, 2022. On October 29th, 2021, board staff released a request for response to New Jersey's 4 public research institutions: Montclair State University, the New Jersey Institute of Technology, Rowan University, and Rutgers University. The purpose of the RFR was to engage university to assist the task force in writing their annual report. This item was discussed previously in executive session, and staff recommends that the board approve staff's recommendation on engaging a university for the purpose of assisting the New Jersey Fuel Cell Task Force in writing their annual report. Staff further requests that the board authorize President Fiordaliso to execute a memorandum of understanding with the selected university on behalf of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes, and you have the next item also, Kevin.
Yes, sir. This item is in the matter of the exploration of gas capacity and related issues. On December 20th, 2019, the board directed staff to hire an independent consultant to examine the current and future natural gas capacity outlook for New Jersey. On May 20th, 2020, the board approved the scope of work and a request for quotation, and as a result, the board selected London Economics International as its independent consultant. London Economics conducted extensive research, including but not limited to a review of natural gas transmission and delivery infrastructure, peak demand projections, the market structure of natural gas, including contracting options and the profile of interruptible customers, and a review of gas demand outlooks and the development of demand forecasts through 2030. London Economics further modeled 10 scenarios through 2030, which were divided into 2 groups. In the first group, London Economics utilized the combined annual growth rate of 1.02% in design day firm demand projected by the utilities as the basis for the modeling scenarios. In the second group of scenarios, London Economics utilized the utilities' weather-normalized historical trends, which is an annual growth rate of 0.95% for the basis of those models. To quote London Economics, quote, "The key findings of London Economics' analysis of potential shortfalls are that, yes, under the most likely set of future outcomes, sufficient natural gas capacity exists on the regional interstate pipeline system to meet the future peak day demand forecasts of New Jersey's GDCs," unquote. London Economics also performed an extensive review of the prior conflicting expert reports and rendered conclusions regarding the shortfalls of each. London Economics also discussed 8 non-pipeline alternatives, which include energy efficiency, voluntary demand response programs, direct load control, building electrification, renewable natural gas, green hydrogen, liquefied natural gas and compressed natural gas, and advanced leak detection. Lastly, London Economics developed a series of best practices as well as a playbook which contains extensive recommendations for actions and communications to be utilized during a capacity-related emergency. Upon completion, London Economics compiled this research and findings into a report dated November 5th, 2021, entitled Final Report, Analysis of Natural Gas Capacity to Serve New Jersey Firm Customers. As a result, staff recommends that the board accept the November 5th, 2021 London Economics report for filing and to make a redacted version available to the public via the board's website. Staff further recommends that the board direct staff to issue a notice commencing a stakeholder process to receive reports regarding the November 5th, 2021 London Economics report.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Yes.
Yeah, I think as we all appreciate, this is a critical finding, a critical analysis that's been presented to us. The board had received conflicting reports, one saying that we had enough gas infrastructure, another report saying, no, we don't. We're going to run out of gas capacity in short order. And I think it was incumbent on us to retain an independent consultant to evaluate the 2 prior reports and understand the assumptions that were made in those analyses and present us with the best kind of analysis possible. And I'm sure we're going to use this data in driving decisions in the future. I would only add one sort of editorial comment. This analysis was based on weather conditions and the demand likely to be related to weather conditions. I think it's important to recognize that we're living in a different world now, with hostile forces out there that have the capacity to shut down all or portions of our gas infrastructure. And so we might want to keep that in mind as we consider building some redundancy into the system to protect ourselves against these man-made threats.
Yeah, unfortunately, those forces do exist. Yes?
And I look forward to stakeholder processes. A lot of this was begun during the Trump administration. There's been obviously a complete change in energy policy, so it'll be good to bring it sort of up to date with the latest stakeholder comments.
Yeah, I have comments. Also, I don't know what's on. I also, appreciate the work that was done by London Economics, and then, frankly, also the work that was done by Levitan and Skipping Stone. It's a lot of information, frankly, to digest. And this board, along with our gas companies, have an obligation, when you get down to the bare bones of it, to ensure safe, reliable service, and that can't be understated, frankly. So we have to be realistic about the future and how we proceed, and even with the recommendations that might be in this report, we have to be cautious, prudent in how we move forward, and frankly wary of any wholesale changes that could result in less clean, less reliable, and more costly alternatives. And I look forward also to the stakeholder process that we will have following the release of this report, and frankly welcome their comments to help us look at the direction we may want to take, and in response to your comments about malicious actors and changes as to where we are from where we initially were to today. I mean, we even back in, I think it was 2016 or 2017, conducted some tabletop exercises, frankly. I think it was the New Jersey pilot light to, when there was a transmission line that was affected in western Pennsylvania, that had it been, in the wintertime, here in New Jersey, the situation couldn't have been a lot different. So to keep in mind that, and the recommendations that came out of that report as to, the need for, a resilient system were highlighted. So, we're going to have to take all of this information and use it as we move forward.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I think reliability, as Commissioner Solomon talked about, is very important, reliability. And also, natural gas plays an important role in resilience. And when we have combined heat and power, and those are operating on natural gas, you need the natural gas supply. Also, New Jersey depends on natural gas generation. I think that's one of the cleaner generation that we have, in addition to nuclear. And having the supply, adequate supply, of course, is important. And winters, we don't know what the winter is holding for us. And we can safely say that if we are able to, there's enough supply, gas supply for homeowners that they can heat their buildings and they can stay safe. I think that's very important.
Can I take one other comment?
Sure.
Yeah. To that end, with the gas system, it's not just the distribution system; it's a transmission system, which I was trying to highlight, which affects gas generation, and then there's the consideration we have in terms of 75% of our homes being heated with natural gas, and the consideration that we don't want to put ourselves in a position. I was just listening to the NERC giving their assessment for New England, who right now has it's a warning to that area where they do not have the supply available to them, and we don't want to have some sort of cascading effect, or even look to that happening here in the Mid-Atlantic region. It's just something that we should be aware of. Not only NERC has this warning to New England and what they're undergoing or have to do in order to meet their demand, and then you have the situation down in Texas and in California. So we want to be, as I said, that's why I highlighted the need to be prudent and careful and wary of how we move forward, so that we don't find ourselves in a situation. I really don't want to have to be trucking in gas like they did up in New York, or they're doing New England. It's not exactly the safest way for us to have what?
Or cheapest.
Or cheapest, and supply chain, whatever you want to say. So these are some of the things that we want to keep in mind as we move forward, and look forward to that discussion on how we're going to address this in the future.
Our mission statement clearly states
That's the largest city in New Jersey.
reliability, resiliency, at the best possible cost. We will certainly adhere to our mission statement. There's no question about it. And there should be no fear, no concern that this state will run out of gas. We are on top of the situation, as my colleagues have indicated. We are aware of what our responsibilities are, and we will adhere to those responsibilities. Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chukwu?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Ferguson?
Yes. Kevin, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Bob, you're 8C, the Bill of Rights. Are we talking about the Constitution, or?
No, but good afternoon.
Maybe we should be.
I'm making this presentation on behalf of the staff of Water and Energy and Customer Assistance, who have been staffing the pandemic response working group for the last year and a half, and have been really doing a great job with it. And as you all know, the grace period that was created by executive order at the end of June of 2021 is coming to an end. On September 14th, the board issued a revised utility customer bill of rights that memorialized the temporary additional protections mainly related to timing that were included in the executive order. And with that expiration imminent, staff is recommending that we issue a further revised utility customer bill of rights that conforms with the ongoing protections that will revert to being in place as of January 1st. Those are all of the utility customer bill of rights protections that are in the current administrative code. And we want the utilities to provide updated information and update the copies of the utility customer bill of rights that they provide to customers to conform with those that will be in place after January 1st. That's the primary recommendation from staff this morning.
In addition, we received 5 waiver requests from small companies who were seeking some relief from the notice requirements of providing copies of the utility customer bill of rights on a monthly basis to their customers for 18 months after the end of the emergency. The waiver requests include Mount Olive Villages and Village Utility LLC, neither of which have websites or customer service centers. So they were seeking relief from the requirement that they post online and post in their walk-in centers. Butler Electric requested reduction in the frequency from monthly to quarterly. They proposed some mitigation steps, including providing a version of the revised Bill of Rights on the back of their bill and notifying customers about it in the message section. Montague Water Company, citing concerns with the amount of real estate on their paper bills, asked that they be able to provide an internet link address on its paper bills rather than sending printed copies. They're a very small company. Cost concerns were also a factor there. And finally, Shore Water Company, a small seasonal operation, bills its customers annually, was seeking relief from the monthly notification requirement contained in the legislation that followed the executive order. So as I said, staff's recommending that the board approve the update to the Bill of Rights. After careful consideration of the requests, staff is recommending that the board grant the waiver requests of Mount Olive Villages and Village Utility. We believe that their proposals meet the primary intent of the legislation, which is getting monthly notice to customers, and believe that relief from the secondary purpose of the legislation, posting either on the internet or in a customer service center, we believe that's secondary, and if they're fulfilling the primary purpose of the monthly notice, that the relief is appropriate. With respect to Butler, staff is recommending partial relief for them. Staff does not believe we can relieve companies of the burden of providing monthly notifications. So we're not recommending granting their request to provide only quarterly. But since they'll be providing a version of it on the back of printed bills, they've got a way to avoid additional printing costs and things like that. So we're recommending that the board approve that portion of their request. As to the waiver request of Montague, we believe that the proposal to provide the internet link, even on the back of a paper bill, on balance, is sufficient to meet the primary notification requirement. Even though you can't click on a paper bill, you can still type it into any internet-enabled device. And if the alternative is no notice or spotty notice, we believe that providing the internet link is sufficient to meet that primary requirement. So we recommend approving Montague's request. With regard to Shore, the company's proposed alternative was to solely post the revised Bill of Rights on its website and send a copy once a year when they send their bills. Staff does not believe that's adequate. And based on that, the company's request for relief, as framed, staff is recommending that that be denied. They haven't proposed an alternative mitigation. So the choice between posting only on the internet and mailing once a year, staff's recommendation is that's inadequate and should be denied. Those are staff's recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Salmon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Treviso?
Yes, thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
That brings us to our last item, and 9D, Maureen, we discussed this thoroughly in executive session. Do you want to give the public
Sure. Can you hear me?
the information?
Okay.
That's the word I was looking for.
9D pertains to the board's contract with the Affordable Housing Alliance, AHA, for administration of the Payment Assistance for Gas and Electric Program, which provides grants on electric and natural gas bills of residential customers. The current PAGE contract, initiated last January, provides PAGE grants to moderate and low-income households. AHA applies a PAGE benefit cap of $400 to low-income PAGE households due to these households' ability to access federal LIHEAP benefits. PAGE applies a benefit cap of $700 to moderate-income households. The New Jersey Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, or LIHEAP income ceiling, has been the income threshold used by AHA to divide these low and moderate-income PAGE households. However, this past October, the income limits for LIHEAP and the board's USF program, which also provide benefits to electric and gas customers, were raised significantly. In September 2021, AHA wrote a letter to board staff requesting clarification regarding if it should continue to use the LIHEAP income ceiling as the low-income threshold and provide the same benefit caps to the different income groups. AHA also requested in its letter a waiver of the requirement to distribute PAGE grants according to a specific percentage breakdown between moderate and low-income households. In response to AHA's letter, board staff recommends a contract modification to allow the following. First, board staff recommends AHA continue to use the LIHEAP income ceiling as the low-income threshold for PAGE. Second, moderate-income households should continue to receive the same benefit cap, $700, and low-income households receive the $400 benefit cap. However, staff recommends that low-income households denied LIHEAP benefits also be applied the $700 benefit cap. And third, staff recommends the requirement to maintain a 60-40 percentage breakdown in PAGE grant distribution between the two different applicant pools be waived, while AHA continue to report the distribution in funds. Board staff also recommends these changes be retroactive to October 1st, 2021, when the new USF and LIHEAP income limits went into effect.
So moved. Second.
Programs mentioned by Maureen are programs that we were referring to earlier in our meeting, that are there to help people who are having difficulty paying bills. And contact your utility company, go online, get information about these various programs that are available here in the state of New Jersey. See if you qualify. If not, set up a payment plan with your utility company. A moratorium is coming to an end. Any questions or comments for Maureen?
Thank you, Mr. President. During the briefing, I mentioned to Maureen that there's an organization called Rescue, RESCUE, in Elizabeth, New Jersey, who help all the new migrants that could be refugees. And one of the challenges they face is that the previous tenant of the facility, the building has not paid their bills in full, so they are, what happens is that the new incoming residents have to pay a very high deposit. And I spoke with Stacy Peterson about that. That's the way the current rules work. So one of the things I was suggesting to Maureen, maybe I can connect with that organization. So some of this PAGE money can be used for them to offset some of the deposit requirements. So she said she'll explore that. Thank you.
Good, thank you. There are no other questions or comments, roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yeah.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fiorito?
Yes, thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
Those of you who follow water matters and things of that sort out in the water world and so on, I think it's important for you to know that Megan Lupo has left the Water Division and is now working at the Rate Council's office. And dealing with Megan on anything, you know, Mike certainly pick up the slack as he always does. The final thing I want to say really is, in spite of all the obstacles of 2021 and the obstacles we continue to encounter, and probably will to some extent, and hopefully a lesser extent in 2022. The Board of Public Utilities had a successful 2021. And I want to thank my colleagues for their work. I want to thank you, staff, for meeting the challenges that each and every one of us encountered during this past year. The wheels kept turning here at the BPU. Things got accomplished, important things that affect the lives of our fellow citizens. So on behalf of the board, I want to thank you, staff, for meeting the challenges, and thank you in advance for the challenges that you will encounter in the next year. I wish you a safe holiday season, and I wish you, above all, peace. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. See you in 2022.